Welcome along, guys. It is Wednesday and it is round 6 in the Supercharged Motorsport Season 6, and we are at a very wet Donington. Looking forward to some great racing. Our sprint race on Friday was epic. There was no stream for because I decided to race in it myself, and it was an absolute barrel full of laughs. Tonight it's different. It's an open qualifying, just with only 18 drivers. We decided why not have a bit of fun, and yeah, it's interesting to see the gaps out there. Fantanossi, though, is absolutely flying out there with a 135.765 in those conditions. Tedder's only 0.005 off him. Then it's 0.012, so it's super close between the top three. Literally a blink of an eye, if even. So it'd be interesting to see. Does it get any closer? As I say that, Glenn Smith, absolute whopper of a time there, a 135.477, saying, lads, whatever you can do, I can do better. And he runs a bit wide, as I say that, doing a bit of showboating for the fans. So Glenn Smith there doing a great job, of course, an Englishman in those English conditions. As I say that, Chris Tedder, a 134.5, absolutely on it now. So the track is obviously getting better. You can see the rain there is getting slightly lighter, and is looking to actually get lighter again in the next 10 to 30 minutes. So for the race then, it means it should be quite a bit drier as well, so faster lap times to come, as it is quite wet out there at the minute. Now just looking actually from further back, I'm going to jump back on with Anthony Ferrante. I'm expecting him now. He's sitting in the pits at the minute, so he's not doing much there. With Finlay Gamble out on track, myself and Finlay had a little coming together last Friday. It was the most random crash ever, but it was hilarious. And hopefully he can do a bit better this evening. Anonymous Rat is in there, but in the pits. Sure Pryor in the Aston Martin, hoping Adrian Newey does something for that car, as he's letting one of the cars by. Then it's Liam Smith, the Pro-Am Championship leader, and I'd faint if he actually wins the championship. I'd be delighted for him though at the same time, as much as fainting. Artemis Manoff is in the pits, as is Augusto Junior. Then we've got Nathan Warren out for ourselves. Doing quite a nice job there. Then we've got Barry Dunn, then Terry Dunn, John Dudley. Of course, John is a previous Supercharged Motorsports champion in the FFG, guys. And I love the fact that he's using an older car. A lot of people are still afraid to use older cars in NLF and BOP, so I have nothing but respect for anybody who jumps out in something crazy. Then we have Andy Polycott there, Dominic Issa. Next, John Dudley goes up into P5 though, by the way. Costa is in the pits. Glenn's dropped down now to P4, as Chris Tedder's 134.587 seems to be the one to beat. He's still 4 tenths ahead of Ryan O'Sullivan, and nearly 8 tenths, or nearly 9 tenths should I say, ahead of Fantanossi and Glenn. That's super impressive from Chris. Of course, he absolutely flew away with it here on Friday. It was a very, very good race. As much as I probably should have comms, it was epic fun racing in it. I really enjoyed myself. Every now and then, it's nice to get out on track with zero practice. And I'll take all the kudos for Chris's setup, even though I did nothing with it. It's because of me. His car is doing well. But yeah, Chris looking quite tasty. Ryan O'Sullivan though, that was a great lap there from Ryan as well. He's only now 0.013, so Chris does have a little bit of competition there. Looking at the data, it's the middle sector. Ryan O'Sullivan's quite a bit faster than Chris, but Chris beats him in the first 2 sectors, so interesting to say the least. As we see Glenn's going off, so let's jump on with Polycott, who is improving there, and I'm sipping on a coffee as well, guys. Long day in work, and having a bit of banter, I suppose, after work as well doesn't help with relaxing. But now I get to relax. I get to watch some great racing, and while this is going on as well, on this Sunday we will be live, of course, with the 3 hours of Bathurst. And Yeah, that's going to be epic fun. You've got GT4s, GT3s, and GT2s on track. There's 20 odd sign-ups now, hopefully more by Sunday. If you're interested, you can do it solo or as part of a duo team, up to yourself. It's only 3 hours, and yeah, it's going to be very, very good fun. So Polycot's going to improve, but just not enough though, I think, to get kind of any position gained, unfortunately for him. But Warren is up enough to probably jump up a few positions. He's lost a bit of time though, but he still gets up then, up into P9. Let me see who else is improving out there. Nobody else really at the minute there. Wait and see if Liam Smith will be able to improve next lap. But Barry Dunn is actually up quite a bit of time here now. He's up nearly 0.8 of a second. And of course, Donington Park. I remember this track from the British touring car days and the super touring cars back in the mid to late 90s as a young nipper. And it's just a track to me that invites some absolutely awesome racing. And of course, if you're racing, iRacing and all, try yourself a Formula V around here, Formula Ford. Yeah, it's absolutely awesome. Although I love the Formula Renaults, so I would definitely recommend the Formula Renault as well. Go with the 3 litre one because it's a bit of fun, or 3.5. It is a bit of fun. Bit overpowered for the track, but good crack. But yeah, looking here now, Finley Gamble is improving by half a second, but he's only halfway around the lap pretty much. Who else? Fontanozzi started the lap and is already up a few tenths. He's got turn 1 aced. Nathan Warren's up quite a bit of time. Now hit this last corner here, he should be able to take it better and gain a few tenths, because he didn't take it perfect the last time and he lost a little bit of time there, and this time around that's a lot better from Nathan Warren, and we're going to see him jump up a few more spots. Up into P4 goes Nathan Warren there. Beautiful, beautiful lap from him. Finley Gamble is on one here now as well, so let's see what he can do. He's up about 0.8 of a second as well. That's actually going to put him possibly jumping Glenn and maybe even catching up to Nathan Warren, depends on his exit here. That's a nice exit from him, but a jump ahead of Glenn, I'd say. Yeah, he does. In between Nathan and Glenn goes Finley Gamble. That's a great lap from him, and that's more like it for Finley. Now Stuart Pryor is probably going to be jumping up into about P9, P10 here. Depends on his exit. That's a lovely exit there from him. He gains a bit of time out with that. Where's he going to go? Up into P10 he goes, just behind Dominic Easton with 0.020 of a second. He missed out on P9, so not going too bad for him. And of course there still is time, just under 5 minutes left in qualifying, and everybody gets the full 20 minutes today, so I'm sure they're enjoying actually being able to really get the feel in here. Fair play to him. So now let me see here, as Fontanozzi fast at 1:34.195. Tedder is a 1:34.207 versus Ryan O'Sullivan then at 1:34.6. So there's definitely more time out there. Fontanozzi absolutely flying it along. Fastest first and fastest second sector is Fontanozzi. Fastest third is Chris Tedder, and actually fastest first sector is Costa at 21.357. So if you add that up again, you could be down into the 33s here with the 3 fastest sector times, which is quite huge. So let's see, can anyone break into that in the next 4 minutes or so? And looking here now, Ryan O'Sullivan's on a whopper of a lap, so we're going to stick on with Ryan O'Sullivan. What can he do? So he's up about 3.5 tenths of a second, maybe 4 tenths by the exit. No, it's about 3.5 tenths. He's run wide though. That's going to slow up his pace, and he's already dropped down to 2 tenths now. So he's lost 1.5, nearly 2 tenths there. And he's getting quite a bit of time back there on the exit though. He's about 3 tenths back up again. So there's definitely time being left by Ryan out here. That's all about this exit. Such a slow corner. It's awkward. Even in the dry it's awkward, but in the wet, super awkward. Is Chris Tedder at 1:34.085. is now the benchmarker. So we are going to see probably a drop into the 133s before the end of this session here in this quite wet track. Let's be fair about that. Ryan O'Sullivan into P2 there, 134, 142 there. Fantinosi is on a lap. All of them are in green sector times at the, or sorry, delta times should I say, at the minute. Glenn's only starting a lap. John Dudley coming to finish lap. Gets a little bit deep, but you know what? That's a nice way to exit the corner then. Oh, nice stuff there. John's going to jump up quite a few spots there up on the P6. Dudley goes there. Beautifully done on that last corner. That was super impressive there. Really nice down. It looked like he got it wrong. It looked like he went deep, but he just got just enough that he can get the exit then on the throttle super early. And he pulled himself just over a tenth of a second on the exit there. That was absolutely great stuff there. Liam here is up 4/10 of a second. I'm sure there's more on it. Of course, Liam is sitting P4 essentially in terms of his split at the minute in qualifying. I'm sure it'll come back to him in the race as he comes around now to the last corner, and he's going to go for a bit of a wider line, but you know what, he's up quite a bit of time here, and Liam then jumps up into P13, and I'm sure there's more time on the table, but unfortunately he just doesn't have the fuel. Okay, let me see. Fantinosi's started a lap. He can do one more lap, as is Chris Tedder. Ryan O'Sullivan is going to be able to start one more lap. And so Ryan is now starting his as well. Dominic Isse is not going to... Oh, no, he is going to get one more lap. I'm sure, yeah, it's a minute left. Oh. I've seen Usmanov there jumping up. Anthony Ferrante up a bit of time here as well. Let's see what he can do. So he's up 7/10 of a second at the minute. Kerry Dunn's up half a second. That should pop him up a few positions. Pryor's up a bit of time at the minute. Augusto's up 7/10 of a second. I'll tell you one thing though. Ryan O'Sullivan and Fantinosi are improving. Chris Tedder is not improving this lap, and this could be detrimental for Chris. Fantinosi's up over half a second, or no, at half a second. Ryan O'Sullivan 3/10 of a second, but Fantinosi here is looking hot for pole position, up 6 and a bit tenths of a second. I don't think Chris is going to have an answer here. He's going to watch that pole position slip away here. As out of the last corner, Fantinosi is over 6/10 of a second. That's going to be half a second between him and Chris Tedder. And Ryan O'Sullivan is up about 4/10 of a second. Is there anything he can do now? He's got one more corner. He needs to get that exit just right. He needs to be patient, and on the exit he goes. It's not going to be enough, but he's going to jump up by Chris Tedder, it looks like. And Chris Tedder, unfortunately for him, went out and unfortunately is now in P3, down half a second. That was a lap and a half, a 1:33.562 from Fantinosi there. Ryan O'Sullivan then just over a tenth behind. Then there's Chris Tedder. Costa gets up into P4. Glenn Smith in P5. Augusto then is on provisional, or on pole position, should I say now, for the Pro-Am, unless someone else gets by. Let me see. John Dudley jumps back into P6 on track there. Nathan Warren P7. Does anybody else? Finley Gamble might possibly take it to Augusto Jr. here. Finley is doing beautiful stuff here, but I think he's gone too deep though. Is he going to carry any of it out? No, he's going to miss out there. He is going to jump up though, just behind him on overall qualifying. Sure, Pryor though is up 3/10 of a second. It might jump him up then ahead of Barry Dunn and Terry. It's all about this exit here now. Is it going to be enough? It looks like it's definitely going to be enough. Absolutely great stuff there as Augusto Jr. puts himself up into P4. That's a huge lap there from Augusto Jr. Wow. That track was really, really, really getting nice and rubbered in, I suppose. Phenomenal stuff there. So that's qualifying done and dusted there. Chris Tedder, I missed it. Literally got pole position. He was able to get another lap in. A 1:33.537, so 0.025 a second. Chris Tedder's done it. I don't believe it. I missed that there. I thought his qualifying was over. He obviously ran enough fuel for one more lap. Wow. Tedder from Fantinosi, from O'Sullivan. Top three, less than 0.2 of a second. That's unbelievable stuff there. And they're fairly close in every sector as well. Fastest first sector goes to Tedder. Fastest middle sector, or second sector, is Ryan O'Sullivan. And fastest third sector is Chris Tedder. And if I add all the peak fastest times up, you would be talking then a 1:30.0. That's the difference there as they all go onto the track. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to run through the Track Titan and then ACC Drive, as they do sponsor us. And speaking of that, this is definitely one of the greatest apps if you're doing any endurance racing, or if you want nice overlays, but you also want to be able to look at all the statistics and all the details of your car through it. They're exactly who you need on it. And then, of course, our partners, Track Titan as well. So, as we are getting ready to go onto the grid, I'm going to do my awkward thing where I do this and then I find it hard to get my controller mouse back across to the other screen, but why not? So, without further ado, on pole position we have Chris Tedder, and looking to make this back-to-back wins here at Donny. And actually, I'm delighted from that he's getting wins, but he's starting to get a bit dizzy up on the front and top all the time. P2 then is Fantinosi there. And then in P3 we have Ryan O'Sullivan. Of course, he's already got a win here and is hunting down the next win. Then we've got Augusto Jr., which he done a phenomenal lap for a Pro-Am driver. Then next we have Costa then in P5. The most beautiful man in sim racing, Glenn Smith, in P6. The most bearded man in sim racing in P7, we've got John Dudley. We've Adrian Newey then in P8. Of course, Stuart being delighted, I'd say, that Adrian Newey has gone on. How you doing, Aces? Gone on with Aston Martin for next season. Then in P9, Finley Gamble, so essentially P2 in a split. That's a great lap from him. Then we have Nathan Warren in P10. Ooh. Then in 11, we have Dominic Gise. Then in P12, we have Barry Dunn. P13, then we have Terry Dunn. Mr. Andy Polycott then in P14. Ayerta Mismanov in P15. Then we have in P16 our boy Liam Smith, championship leader in Pro-Am. Then we have Anthony Ferrante in P17 and Anonymous Raff in P18. And that is your grid on this beautifully dry Donington Park. Now, see, this is where my mouse always gets stuck because I'm a goose. Yep. I just have to do that and that. There we go. You didn't see a thing. The boys are on stilts there. So while this is going on, Aces, do you want to join me tonight, or what are you doing, man? I'll be more than happy to chat with you for an hour. Let me know. Let me see what is going on in the world of our Discord. Self-promo, Anonymous Rats, send it on that. I suppose another announcement as well, not that anyone in ACC would care, but we've decided to stop our Formula 1 league. We just didn't feel it was getting what I needed. And of course, then we have the iRacing starting up. So when one thing finishes, we set up another. And we're looking forward to the iRacing starting. But yeah, back onto this one here, another minute and 20 seconds. We're going to have an hour of absolutely flat-out action here in Donington Park. The drivers are very aware there is double points on the first lap. So if they have an incident, if it's a 15-second penalty, it's doubled to 30 seconds. And whatever else the incidents are, they're doubled. All for the first lap. The guys need to be smart here, especially in the wet condition. Don't do what me and Finley Gamble did on Friday. But sure, these things happen. So look, I'm going to just have a quick sip of my coffee and we'll be back into it. Indeed, Grid Finder is the place to race. And we could be possibly hosting our next championship, or a championship after, on Grid Finder as well. And let's see what happens. I think they've a lot going for them, which I will get on to another day. I don't want to bore people's ears now, as the race is just about starting and we all want to see some crazy action here. And let's see how it's going to go down. So Fantinosi goes extremely wide, but back up into position. Still best camera view to go on. Chris, I love that, his ego. As they are coming around there into the last corner, and they're all going to roll up. I'm going to put my popcorn down now. So they're all around the last corner. Anytime now they're going to be going for it. And there's a bit of a gap already. Ryan O'Sullivan's going to be under pressure from Augusto Jr. Augusto gets the better jump. Sullivan has the inside line, but Tedder got a great start. Fantinosi nearly hits the back of him there. But they've all gotten through. Ryan O'Sullivan luckily gets away as well without too much issue. It seems that everybody's got around okay. Yes, it looks like everybody's got around okay. Oh my god. Well done to everyone. So Tedder already has a bit of a gap on Fantinosi, nothing major, but enough at this time after a few corners. Dudley though has Glenn right in front of him. Nathan Warren there, it's kind of spread out a little bit. Finley Gamble has Dominic Giese behind him. Giese trying to show the nose up the inside. Finley says no thanks, Dominic. Dominic's going to try to send it around the outside. Great move by Dominic there, because it's quite hard to get that move done. Finley though back up the inside. Go on the boys, this is what it's about. I know they're not in the same split, but it's the first lap. This is absolutely fine to see. And at the end of the day, Finley seems to have the pace. It's only if there's a massive pace difference that we ask for people to relax a little bit. Well, that's brilliant stuff there. Is that the one going for an inside move? No, it's not. He thinks better of it there. And then you've got Anonymous Rat on the outside of Polycott. Rat's after getting the job done though. And Liam Smith though is kind of sitting patiently, I think. As Gamble and... oh, to tell you one thing, these two guys are hard at it. Giese and Gamble. I'm used to saying that for Matty Gamble and Giese, not for Finley and Dominic. Yeah, unbelievable. I know Dominic's under pressure here from, it looks like, Terry Dunn. Terry Dunn has not been able to get the move done there. Dominic can live to fight another day. Liam Smith is now getting by Anthony Franti, so Liam might have had a little moment there. Genuinely, nearly no incidents on the first lap. That's phenomenal stuff. There was one there. We're going to jump at this one really quick. Liam up the inside. A little touch. Oh, lucky that didn't turn out worse. But other than that, it's been literally no major incidents there, so that's good to see. Back on with the racing there. So Dudley, Smith, they're after pulling away a little bit from Pryor. Coasted out is about 1.2 seconds off Augusto at the minute too. Ryan O'Sullivan about 0.4 off Fantinosi, but more importantly for Tedder, he's 1.1 seconds clear already of these two, battling away in second and third as well. So for Chris Tedder, it's been a dream start, pole position, lovely clean race start from, and he's starting to be able to build a small gap, and especially with these two much closer as well, he's hoping they'll fight and they'll impede each other, you know, and yeah, hopefully for him, he develops then a nice simple race. Sounds a lot boring for a lot of people maybe watching, but when you are racing, you kind of want those days that if you get kind of up the front like that, that you can just kind of stroll away with it and just do your thing. So I'm sure Chris really enjoying this at the minute. I know he was absolutely loving his setup on Friday, and it was honestly super stable. I used the exact same setup. Obviously I just hadn't drove in a while, so I was a little bit green, but a beautiful setup, super stable. So I actually can understand what Chris is feeling right now. You can really take the curbs in this car. Just the rear end seems so planted. So Chris has lost a bit of time there. Costa and Augusto swapping positions. Let's go back to see what happened there. Well, it happened a bit before that. There we go. that's where it happened there. So, okay. These things happen. It's not going to affect the Gisto because he still is P1 in the Pro-Am. So even though, yes, he's lost the track position, it's not actually position on the track in terms of his split. So Glenn Smith is all over the back of him now as well. Dominic Gise and Finley Gamble. Oh! I was getting very aggressive with the two of them there. Oh! That's super aggressive with these drivers. Look at the inside now, we've got Dunn as well. Oh, this is mental stuff. Finley Gamble, look at this. Dominic has somehow been able to hold off the charges of both Dunn and Gamble this time around. Terry Dunn though up the inside, is it? Oh! He's been after being pushed right anyway with Usman up there. Let's go back and have a quick look at that from on board. Sorry, that was Barry Dunn, I think it was, up the inside. So Barry was lucky that Dominic had seen that, but then Dominic got a tiny little clip from Finley. But it's no fault of his own because Dominic was avoiding the other incident. I don't think Finley would have seen that, so that was quite a tough one. I'm sure it'll be looked at after by the stewards. But Finley Gamble lives to fight another day. Looking up further, Fantinosi now is less than a second off Chris Tedder. A second back then is Ryan O'Sullivan now. So Fantinosi and Tedder, it's round two. Don't forget last Wednesday in Zoder, these two were right on it. Ryan O'Sullivan though was having a great job out front, but the guys just done a much better pit stop and better strategy. The undercut done as well, and pulled off a master stroke, and him and Kristen Fantinosi all the way to the line was absolutely phenomenal, and we're getting another taste of that here now. Can Fantinosi stay and keep with Chris Tedder? Last week they were in around half a second of each other pretty much for 30 odd minutes. Can they do something similar here this evening? We'll be yet to see, but it's feeling like it's going to be in and around that way. He's about a second off Chris at the minute. Augusto Jr. though is catching back up to Costa. What I'm actually going to do as well, I'm going to show you what it's like when you're driving right behind someone with spray. That's exactly what Dominic is seeing right now. You've got heavy spray. Don't forget, Donny is a narrow track as well. Usmanov doesn't have to give that position boy because they're both in the same split. Dominic though, beautiful line there first, a lovely line, got the cut around. So Dominic is looking to try and catch up, it looks like, with Barry Dunn. Just see the speed difference that Dominic's able to carry a bit more speed. Short shifting a little bit there as well. He's stuck on the rear going mad. Onto the brakes he goes, tiny bit of the curb. I can see Finley got unsettled. They're all getting unsettled on the exit. Too much throttle. As it's quite heavy rain there at the minute. And it's not going to get easier until about 30 minutes in. It's quite heavy at the minute. And only getting heavier. So these guys are all over it. Dunn and Gamble are really on a good battle here. Dunn was thinking about the inside line this time round, but Gamble had him covered. So there's good battles everywhere there with these guys. Now at the front it's kind of spread out now. Fantinosi's after dropping off from Chris a little bit. Nathan Moore and Pryor swapping positions. What happened there? Pryor got that mahoosably wrong. And that happened to me on Friday, if I'm being honest, so I understand his pain right now, to be fair. But he lives to fight another day, which is the main thing. Ryan O'Sullivan is starting to catch into Fantinosi. So while Fantinosi is dropping off from Chris Tedder, he's dropping back into the grasp, it looks like, of Ryan O'Sullivan. On with Glenn Smith here now. He is catching up with Augusto Jr., so it's not an overtake if he does get it in terms of split. But it means then he's got a bit of clear air, less spray in front of him, and he can start focusing on Costa ahead. I suppose while he is focusing on that as well, he needs to remember as well, John Dudley is not too far off him either. And he'll definitely want to make sure that he keeps Dudley behind, because Dudley's the kind of driver, if he gets ahead of you, he just knows how to defend quite nicely. And he's always very fair, but quite a hard guy to get around. Unless he sees that it's me behind him, he absolutely avoids me like the plague and lets me by. But, great to see John back racing with us. We have lost Liam Smith. No clue what happened, Liam. But these things happen. We Finley Gamble. Let's go back on board there. He runs a little bit wide, but the worst thing you do there is once you get onto the grass like that at all, it's just, you have no front end grip, and that's it. You're just going to keep going that bit further out. But he's lucky he wasn't carrying speed, otherwise he went onto the grass, the far side, and possibly into the wall. So for Finley, while yeah, it's annoying, at least it could have been a lot worse. Donny had such a better drive there. The boys are defending quite hard with a different split driver, though, I will say that. Now, they are on similar pace, though. But this must be quite frustrating, I'm sure, for Dominic. But at the same time, the guys are similar-ish pace around here, so it's just one of those things. As Glenn Smith now is still about 0.6 of a second off Fantinosi. Looked like he was starting to catch Tether, but it's 1.4 seconds at the minute. So these three are definitely doing very well. So 1.5 seconds from Tether to Fantinosi, 0.9 seconds from Fantinosi to Ryan O'Sullivan. So less than 2.5 seconds covering the top three at the minute. And then it's a 6.2 second gap to Costa. So it's, even though we're nearly 15 minutes going, the spread isn't crazy. As Dominic is into the pits, I think that's the smartest move. Get his pit stop done now. Don't be losing time, and just can push forward with it as well. Because yeah, it's quite tough when you are stuck behind that heavier traffic as well. So I think that was a smart move there by Dominic Issa to do that, as Andy Polycott is putting the pressure on Rath with Mr. Dunn behind. Then we've got Glenn Smith. And then Ryan O'Sullivan is close as well, but there's not too much happening as Dominic now is out of the pits. That was a splash and dash. Wham bam, thank you ma'am. Polycott and Rat are literally right on top of each other now. And what's really hard as well is when you're actually that close as well. Look how much of a spray there is. It's absolutely crazy just how much spray is there. That's super easy to do as well. When you get that close to somebody as well, it's very easy to just get it wrong with that spray and run a little bit too wide, and as you drop that wheel onto the grass, it does slow you down and impede you quite a bit. But because it's raining though as well, I suppose the deficit isn't too bad. If it was dry and you were doing things like that, yeah, you'd probably feel it a lot worse. So at least it was not that bad, in fairness. I'm just going to move the mic away from me, but I feel that I'm nearly shouting into it. Yeah, so looking through the battles here, Dudley, Smith and Augusto is starting to get quite close. The Dunns fighting away with each other there as well. Half a second between both of them, but Dunn is catching Pryor as well ahead. So it's a three-way fight. You've got the front-engined cars all having their battle. Two Beamers versus an Aston. The Aston staying ahead, of course, with the AMG power unit that's in that. Back further now, Anthony Ferrante is behind Dominic Issa. Dominic is the only person to have pitted so far. Chris Tedder is the fastest lap at 1:33.115. So not too bad. And these guys now, it's getting close to about a second splits the three of them. Not much happening in that corner with them. Polycott and Rat is still about a second after running wide. Now this is the closest seen Ryan O'Sullivan to Fantanossi. It's now 0.7 of a second. The spray is still massive from that. He was half a second off Fantanossi. Fantanossi gets a slightly better exit, so it's out to 0.6 of a second. Well, that's a huge amount of spray. It's quite easy to miss the brake zone, especially if someone takes out one of their markers. Ryan O'Sullivan though doing a great job. He's putting the pressure on Fantanossi, gets a worse exit. O'Sullivan doing great. O'Sullivan taking a tighter line and he's looking to get on the power a bit early. Fantanossi goes for a wider one. So it's about 0.4 of a second now. The Aston's Achilles heel is that low end power, but I tell you one thing, Ryan O'Sullivan's able to drive through it at the minute. Fantanossi is now under pressure. Fantanossi gets a little bit sideways on the exit. It's 0.3 of a second between these guys here. Now 0.2 of a second. Ryan's going to have to be careful. He's going to be at this stage now where he can easily get oversighted and lose so much time. But he's doing a phenomenal job there. He's sticking with him, still at 0.3, 0.2 of a second here. He's just going to have to use his muscle memory for reference here at the minute. When you're that close, you can't see a thing, and Ryan is doing phenomenal stuff there. Fantanossi there was after getting a bit of breathing room, 0.4 of a second if you call that breathing room, but doing what he can do. Ryan very easy there, you hear him just easing the throttle. 0.3 of a second now. This could be Ryan's move if he can get this right and not get sideways on the exit. See him fighting the wheel there, so 0.4 of a second it is. He might gain a little bit of time. No, he drops it off to half a second. This is what it's all about while this is happening here. Going on with the two Duns and Pryor. So Terry has got by Pryor, and then Barry is right there with Pryor as well. As I say that, Terry gets it loose on the exit, Barry gets back by, or sorry, Stewart gets back by, but also Barry looking to go for it. That's not going to work through this chicane there. He's going to get a track cut for that. Well, Augusto Jr. looks like he's got the job done. He hasn't Costa. Let's go back really quick. It was a dive, was it? Oh, that's beautifully done. Costa just got it wrong. Beautiful there for Augusto Juarez. So Glenn Smith will be seeing that and feeling a bit encouraged that the job can be done. Wow. Ryan O'Sullivan still about a half second off. Polycott, Rat and Usmanov are still at it. Nathan Warren's about 2.8 seconds off John Dudley, who is slowly catching up to Glenn Smith now. 0.7, 0.8 of a second off. Ryan O'Sullivan here though has a much better drive, 0.2 of a second. Oh, this is looking nice here, 0.3 of a second off. They're absolutely on it there. Lovely stuff there, nice shot. Ryan have been able to carry a bit more speed through. 0.2 of a second, possibly down to 0.1 at the braking zone. Ryan's going up the inside. Fantanossi though gives them just enough room. Ryan somehow doesn't hit him. And now Fantanossi has the inside line for the next corner. Ryan's going to have to try and think of a cutback if he can do. Ryan's on the brakes a bit later. Fantanossi trying to run him wide. Oh, that was a bit of a elbows out kind of a defence there, but he's made it work. It was definitely a little bit elbows out, and then again I think anyone in that position might try it a little bit, and he seems to have got away there now for the minute. Glenn Smith though was on the back coaster, but look at that, he's got John Dudley so close to him now. So this is absolutely crazy. Rat, Polycott and Usmanov are in the similar position there as well. We're going to swim back down to 2 seconds here. They keep giving me hope that there's going to be an overtake. And then it kind of calms down a little bit there as it spreads back out again. Ryan takes a wider line. He's trying to carry as much speed through. You can see the opposite lock there as well. He's dropped off a little bit. This is great news for Chris Tedder. He's now 2 seconds clear of Fantinosi. So Chris is happy all day with that. Of course, Chris holding the fastest lap, which is a 1:33.115. Under 12 laps in and 20 minutes into this race as we clock down to the 40-minute mark of this 60-minute race. So we're a third of the way through, and there's been an awful lot of action. Of course, we have one driver out, which is Liam Smith, unfortunately. And I'm not sure, did he just not gel with the whole track and weather combo, or what's going on? Normally Liam would be quite decent in the rain as well, so I'm wondering what was the issue for him, setup or something like that, as Glenn now 0.3 of a second off Costa. Glenn is smelling himself an old overtake, although he's not really trying to get that slipstream, as of course in the rain you want to be able to see the braking zone and what's ahead of you, and when you're this close, he's now 0.2 of a second, probably going to be 0.1 by the time they go for that right hand turn. No, he drops off a little bit, gets the corner just right. He's carrying a huge speed in, nicely onto the brakes, onto the car, beautifully done on the exit. That Porsche is looking very, very stable in the wet as well, so Costa obviously has a decent setup there. This is close with Ryan, but just not close enough. No cigar there from... Oh, he gets it wrong. Wow, Fantinosi got a little bit wrong, but Ryan has somehow kept it going anyway. And away he goes as Augusto Jr. So they had quite a good gap though. So Ryan O'Sullivan now has a lot of work ahead of him, nearly, what is it, 5 or so seconds away from Fantinosi, and Fantinosi now nearly 4 seconds off Chris Tedder. That was music for Chris now. And trust me, after last week, their super close race of half a second, I'm sure 4 seconds feels like an absolute honeymoon for him. So that's been big, big news there for Chris. And now he knows exactly what he needs to do. I'd say he'll probably be one of the last to pit in, just to make sure he doesn't hit too much traffic, or if he comes up to too much traffic and they're battling, he probably might use his pit stop then either. But either way, he'll be quite clever about this now. He doesn't need to be overdriving it. Although he's but 3.5 seconds clear, sorry, by the time it all settles down. So he doesn't need to be over it. So we'll see how he gets on. But doing a great job. I'm going to jump on with Anthony Ferrante as well. I want to go through the drivers one by one and give them a little bit of airtime, while the gaps are about half a second or more. So Anthony doing a great job as always. Nice and smooth, he goes through. Of course, he loves the BMW as well, he does. And I like this updated livery of his. It looks really well. Then in P16 we've got Dominic Issa, who's about to attack Finlay Gamble. Of course, these two were fighting earlier on. The difference is though, Finlay Gamble hasn't pitted yet while Dominic Issa has. So will Finlay let him buy too easy, or will he fight it? So lets him fight away a little bit more. So that's what it looks like for Finlay Gamble there at the minute. A mirror full of Lambo. Dominic though going to the right just to get a bit of visibility. With Finlay Gamble. Starting to go for the inside. No, stays behind him. We'll go on then to Barry Dunn then, who is in P14 next, guys. And of course, Barry doing a very good job. And at 1.6 seconds off Andy Polycott. And Barry is yet to pit as well. Sure, racing for Dunn Racing. There we go. Andy Polycott there in his Ferrari 296, of course, for our very own Supercharged Motorsport team. And he's having a decent old race out there, to be fair. He's up a few positions as well from where he started. And doing a very good job there. Pace-wise, he's actually in around where he needs to be for where he is. Then Anonymous Rat is ahead of him. He's putting the pressure on Usmanov at the minute. And Anonymous Rat with the second Pistols livery, of course. Doing a very, very, very good job out there. And Usmanov then, of course, for Supercharged Motorsport ahead. Just doing what he can. He's tipping along, happy as Larry. Doing what he can. Then we've got Terry Dunn then in P10. And Terry Dunn is literally going into the pits right now. He doesn't want any more of being stuck behind prior. So it'll be Ferrante in the pits as well. Dominic East and Terry Dunn are actually then the only ones who have pitted. So Pryor then in P9 for RS Motorsports, doing a great job. Using a bit of a drop down the gear to stabilise the car, pull the nose in a bit, use the inertia. And then back at the fifth gear here on the exit, so he's driving quite smart as well. Then we have Nathan Warren in P8 for Supercharged Motorsports. We're missing Morris Bhutan tonight actually as well. Morris, we miss you. Of course, Morris, I'm sure, would have been absolutely loving the challenge here this evening. Then we've got John Dudley then in P7. Still there with, you have then Warren behind, you've got Glenn in front of him as well. So John's view behind at the minute, more so Repsol than anything else with the ironing board that's there. Then ahead of him, he's nothing but spray. I still love the Nissan though. I don't care what anyone says, it's just an awesome car. That fair play to him. Then we jump on with Glenn. Now he's 0.7 still off Costa for 2 ID. Then Costa in P5 for Adios boost of pace. Augusto Jr. for Barato Racing Team. Ryan O'Sullivan, of course, for Big Brain. He needs to send me his livery file because it's not up on the thing. Bruno Fantinosi then in P2. He's catching Chris, by the way. He's after pulling in a second and a bit on Chris. He's down to 2.4 seconds off Tether. So he has been on it. He's the fastest lap of the race. Last lap out at 1:33.015. So 0.6 of a second faster than Tether last lap. Chris can't have many laps like that. He needs to try to keep his advantage, because he'll be happy later on with that one. So now, let me see, Glenn is still there, Dawn is still there. Other than that, it is kind of starting to spread out now. Kind of pit stops is going to be the next thing. We've had 3 people do a pit stop yet. So we have, of course, Ferrante, Dawn and Dominic Gisa as he gets by, or is trying to get by, should I say. Andy Polycott's got by him there, so I don't know what's happened there. These guys are racing hard today. And speaking of which, let me see. Instant wise, it's not being majorly bad. Some Polycott there, the shoe in. Not too bad. Okay. Glenn Smith though is putting the pressure on now to Costa. He's just the closest he's been in a while. I think the exit on that last corner though wasn't the Mae West from. Polycott might be feeling the pressure now with Finley. Of course, for Polycott, he's got Finley there as a buffer to Dominic Issa, who's next. Although he still is yet to pit, so I think he's just kind of racing his own race and seeing what happens. Okay. So Polycott's dropped it there. As it looks like Issa has got by. I'm going to go back to Polycott now. 15 seconds on the exit the car, was it? Oh, yeah. Oh, a little bit of damage. Won't be the end of the world for him, but still won't be too nice. I'd say he's probably looking at about 30 seconds worth of damage, between 20 and 30 seconds worth of damage there. At the very least for that, but it could have been a lot worse for him. The steering looked straight enough as Anonymous rashes into the pits. Roth still on with Mr. Dunn at the minute now. He's had it quite nicely. And I love Anthony Ferrante, no matter what, he keeps it going. Compared to where he was when he started with us, he's improved massively, and I do definitely see there's a load of improvement left in him. I expect to see him next season making a jump forward. Hopefully we'll get him in for a few sessions and assist him along a bit, because he definitely has the potential there. Super smooth with his inputs as well there. As Rash comes out of the pit now in P15. Dominic Isse is ahead of him, as is Terry Dunn. Polycott is in the pits as well, getting his pit stop done, and I'm sure fixing that damage. So we've 5 people pitted out of the 17 remaining. Fastest lap from Ryan O'Sullivan last lap round there, by the way, as well. A 1:32.950. That's a fast lap. He flies through there. That's exactly what it's all about. Looking it down and through. So at the minute, I think I'm kind of waiting for the pit stops to be done, and then I'm kind of going to get a feeling on where everything is. The top 7, as it sits, are exactly where they started. And then Nathan Moran's up 2 positions, Pryor's down 1, Ismanoff is up 5, Dunn is up 1, Gisa is down 1, Gamble's down 4, Dunn is down 1, Rat's up 3, Polycott's down 2, and Ferrante is where he started. So a little bit of change, but not as much as I was expecting to see in race form. Then again, maybe the pace was just the pace. I do feel Dudley and Glenn probably have a little bit more to give, but I suppose they're stuck between a rock and a hard place because Costa is such a similar performance. It's kind of, what do you do? The rear end of the Ferrari I would have thought would have been more aggressive. The front is lovely and aggressive. The rear end's a little bit plain, I find, on that car. It's a little bit vanilla. GTR is just awesome. That Repsol livery though is top notch. It's so cool. Beautifully done, that is. We're done. 0.9 of a second off. Gamble and Terry a bit off there. Is Terry done? Stopped for 7 minutes. Just looking through all the different stints. So Dominic Isis pit stopped nearly 22 minutes ago. Everybody else is kind of within the last 10 minutes or so. And everybody else has not then pitted other than those few. Fastest car in the speed trap is Dudley, 235 kph. About 100 and what? 135 mile an hour, maybe 136. As Costa is putting Augusto under pressure again. He's pulled a bit of a gap on Glenn as well. Oh, jump onto this one here because Barry Dunn is all over the back of Artem Usmanov now. Barry Dunn giving it everything out there. Nicely done. There are two very different lines there, the defensive line versus the kind of feeler of the attacking line. I do feel Dunn though is kind of waiting to pounce now at this stage. Sure, 0.2 of a second off now, 0.3. Header done his personal best last lap out at 1:32.590, as did Dominic Isse 1:33.3. So you see when there's a bit of free air, you get to see a bit more pace from Dominic now. He's already 5 seconds clear of Finley Gamble as well. Doing a very, very, very good job nonetheless. Oh, lovely stuff on the brakes. Nice. Barry Dunn still trying to get his way by his man up, but is super close this time. He was thinking about just sending it up, but then thought better of it. And I'm sure then he will give that another go. Other than that, then 32.765 for Fantinosi last lap out, so his personal best done. Glenn Smith's personal best at 1:33.2. Warren's at 1:33.7. Everybody's putting in personal best now, so it's definitely getting drier, and it's going to stop raining within the next 30 minutes. Now it'll probably still be raining up until the end of this race, but it's just going to start evolving to get faster and faster. Does anybody go to swap tyres? I'm not sure. It's only an hour race. I don't think the tyres would have been put to too much work in terms of temps, so I do feel tyres isn't really an option here. In terms of Ryan O'Sullivan, he has recovered a little bit. He's only 3.4 seconds off Fantinosi. Fantinosi's still at in around the 2 second mark from Tether. So he's been staring at Chris all day. Chris going onto the extreme wet line though a bit earlier than normal, and trying to cool down the tyres, it looks like a little bit. So be interesting to see. Am I right that Tether's tyres are starting to overheat? But then again, when I used that setup myself, it was A1. So unless he is just got his tyre pressure slightly wrong, maybe, I'm not sure. Very, very cool. See what he can do there, but not much happening there. Smith's back in now on Costa. It's like Smith just had a little break and now he's back looking for a bit of action. See who he does. Barry Dunn, they're going to go back on with him. Half a second off Usmanov here. Oh, a bit sideways. Dominic Isse is by Stuart Pryor, so Isse is starting to make those moves. Gamble and Pryor as well. It looks like Gamble's up the inside. Pryor's ran wide. Possibly. Was that Polycott? That's Andy Polycott in between these guys. probably caught giving it sucks. Very done. Still with Usmanov about half a second. Does it there? Unfortunately for him, not enough. Glenn Smith about 0.8 of a second off. Glenn, I'm sure, feel he might have a bit more in it, but it's one thing catching up to him. It's getting by is going to be the harder part there now. But let's see how that develops. Fantanozzi, Anonymous Rat. I'm jumping on everywhere to see what's happening. There's 3 close battles here. Fantanozzi though, super close to Chris Tedder. So Fantanozzi last lap at 1:32.405 versus Tedder's 1:33. It's just a second pretty much gone, and now it's down to about 1.1, 1.2 seconds there. So I wonder what's happening to Chris. I'm wondering with the drier conditions now, it's definitely going to stop raining in the next 10 minutes. It's literally starting to possibly cook Chris's tyres. I'm not sure, but Chris definitely not where he needs to be. This lap at 1:33.0 versus a 1:32.8, so he's lost out on a little bit more time to Fantanuzzi. So 1.3 seconds from this start of this lap. So it'll be interesting to see how this keeps developing there as we are going through this one. I'm going to stick with this battle for a minute. I know I normally don't like to stay on with leaders, but this seems to be a battle that's going to be of interest now until everyone else pits. Fastest lap goes to Ryan Sullivan last lap at 1:32.392. So guys are trading fastest laps. Glenn Smith finally decides to pit, and this will be interesting to see. Does he get a jump on Costa through the pit stops, getting in that little bit earlier? Be very interesting to see. So 1.6 seconds to Fantanozzi. It's done. This is the closest he's been now in a bit, but it's looking like the rain is pretty much nearly stopped. There's a few drops, but it's not near as heavy as it was. And here in Indy next week, it's going to be nice and dry and warm. Indianapolis is a track I love. If I remember right, Aaron Holloway, when he makes his return, he'll remember that track lovely in Amigos when I was racing for the championship in Pro-Am, and he absolutely does the rejoin of the century and murders me. But I still won the championship, but I just like to remind him of that every now and then. You know yourself. But so Costa and Augusto. Hazards on by, it looks like, by Augusto, or Costa to Augusto. Whether that's just he was left by or not, I don't know. 1:32.127 now from Ryan O'Sullivan. 1:32.350 from Tedder. The track is definitely starting to ramp up now, nearly into the 1:31s. So Finley's yet to pit, and then the top 9 are all yet to pit. Everybody else has served at least one pit stop for one reason or another. Everybody is starting to improve and seeing the green lap times from everybody, which means on my screen everybody is doing a personal improvement, and Augusto Jr. somehow holds that. Is he going to impede Dudley though? No, it doesn't look like he's going to. Dudley gets by, and that's great news for Dudley. So it means now he's got no one from a different split ahead of him. He can just focus on trying to pull in Costa now. He was closer at one stage. Now he needs to get that Red Bull into him, whereas I'm drinking a bit of Monster. Of course, I'm being very, very bougie with my Strawberry Dreams Ultra flavour. But, yeah. This is what it's about now. It's starting to get a bit spicy. Nathan Warren's now looking for Augusto. Don is still behind Usmanov. I think if he tried to do the undercut, it might work for him. If he does have the pace, he might want to consider that. Tedder does the fastest lap of the race last time around, the 1:32.107. I tell you, Fantanozzi not too far off at 1:32.170. Costa at 1:33. So everybody is starting to improve their big time. 134s for Anonymous Rat. Dawn a 133.5 versus slightly faster than Usmanoff's 133.5. Usmanov though runs wide, gets a bit sideways. Dawn's going to be right on him on the exit. But Usmanov is just going to have enough of a drive to stay ahead. Dawn is super close. Warren's in the pits though. Tether now 1.6 seconds clear of Fantanosi's. Tether now kind of getting his head back into the game. Probably cooled down the tyres a little bit. I don't know what it was. Maybe he was just kind of doing a bit of saving. Now looking at Dawn, this is going to be his closest time to do it. It's a bit wide there, yeah, it's just kind of tough. Looking here now, so Dudley in the pits. No, actually, was it? So he comes just ahead of Glenn, so he got to move Dunn in the pits. That's phenomenal. Both of them stopped for 6 seconds. Total pit time 30 seconds for John. Glenn's was a 33, so John found 3 seconds in the pits. Whether that was attacking that pit entry, I'm not too sure there. But that's great work from John, and now Glenn is going to have a fight on his hands. I said it earlier on, it's not the kind of thing you don't want John getting ahead of you. He's putting the pressure on, but Dudley doing enough there. That Nissan, lovely exit there from him. On with Barry, now he's still on with Usmanov. So he's in the pits there, and that's freed him up. So now looking at Dudley here, and with Glenn Smith, Chris Tether though still has the fast lap of the race as well. I guess the junior for Pro-Am is now broken into the 132s as well. That's absolutely phenomenal from him. Dominic Issei now up into P10. Stop and go for Mr. Dunn. That is horrible for him. Stop, go 30. Ron O'Sullivan in the pits there as well. That is not what he needed, but he should still come out ahead of Anonymous Rat, so he will only essentially lose 1 position. I'm thinking. Now, I could be absolutely wrong. Up the inside goes Gisa here on Nathan Moran. Nathan though, or the outside should say, Nathan is not falling for it. Gisa though now has the inside line, but Nathan still is ahead essentially, which is the main thing. He's cutting across a bit, which is fine to do. Nathan holds the inside line. Dominic trying to carry the pace around the outside. Nathan though able to get the job done. Although on exit, it looks like he was a little bit wobbly, but he still is slightly ahead. But Dominic knows the inside line, so Nathan Moran's going to have to try a little bit of a switchback. And it just didn't work out the way he wanted, because Dominic was able to keep the nose tidied in and kind of cut it off a little bit there. Great driving from Dominic and from Nathan Moran there, to be fair about it. Back on now with Glenn Smith and John Dudley, and the battle that's going to keep going, I'd say, for quite a while. Absolutely awesome. And that's the stop go. 2 laps remaining for them to serve that. 10 minutes left on the clock. We still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people to pit. Rhino Sullivan, though, came back out in P3 after pitting, which is great. Now, the thing about it is, looking at the pit stop times here, it's not that long at all. So the total stop for Rhino Sullivan was 29 seconds, was the time loss from entry to exit. He's exactly 29.2 seconds now behind Fantinosi. So, is he going to be able to get by Fantinosi here? Is the early pit stop free them up into a bit of air, like what happened to guys last week? This is super, super interesting now. So don't forget, if that car is live coming out of the corner, and then, sorry, into the first corner as well, the guys need to give room for him as well. Of course, he needs to leave room for the guys on the exit. This is massively interesting. Now, I could be wrong, I'm probably overlooking into this, but he's super close to it. I think he's closer than I've realised. As we're down to 8 minutes and 51 seconds to go. Nathan Moran is sticking with Dominic Issa as well, so Nathan's trying to get back into it. And Barry is now in the pits. I think that was just a clever thing to do. That's going to feel like an absolute eternity for him. So he's going to lose a minute altogether of track time. 1:31.735 for Fantinosi last lap around. 1.2 seconds covers Chris Tedder on Fantinosi now. Glenn Smith still a half a second behind Mr. Dudley. Chris Tedder does his fast lap race last lap round, as does Ryan O'Sullivan. Both of them 1:32.0s. 0.010 splits Tedder from O'Sullivan last lap, but they are still nearly 3/10 off Fantinosi's pace at the minute. Augusto Jr. still doing a top-notch job though. But like, in terms of when you look at the splits, he's done a phenomenal job. He's beaten most of the guys out there today. He obviously likes the wet conditions, and the McLaren is quite nice around here, to be fair. So Glenn, he's kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place because they're such similar pace. It's easy catching up to somebody. Getting by is the other thing. And Dudley as well will know how to place his car. He's quite an experienced racer as well. So Glenn's very aware of that, and I think there's great respect from both drivers on track as well, which is nice to see. Whereas though, doing a great job looking to try catch up to Costa here today. Might be able to get something done. Possibly not though. 7 minutes to go. This is the closest I've seen Glenn Smith on John Dudley. Isn't it gorgeous? It's the closest it has been, but I feel Dudley's going to have to make a mistake for Glenn to get by at the minute. I just think it's, oh wow, Ryan O'Sullivan fast lap last race, a 1:31.480. Fantinosi done a 1:32.552, while Tedder done a 1:31.581. So it's second loss for Fantinosi in the last lap there, and that is Anthony Frante getting out of the way of Dudley and Smith, and that's gone back to 0.6 of a second. And this one here is just a race for the sake of good hard racing, because in both splits it makes no difference. That's Usmanov into the pits there now as well, I see. So that'll be Dudley and Smith by Usmanov there. So one more position for them. So eventually that's 5th and 6th for them in their split. Oh, Barry Dunn actually goes behind Anonymous Rat. Wow, that was quite a heavy one for him. So Chris Tedder 135 or 1.580 versus Fantanuzzi. Oh, 131.457 actually versus a 131.335 versus a 131.480 at the minute. So these guys are absolutely on it, but the fastest lap goes to Bruno Fantanuzzi at the minute with just about 5 seconds to go. Finley Gamble gets himself a drive-through as well. He'll need to serve quite soon. Bryan Usmanov. Bryan just gets ahead while Usmanov comes out. And that was a track limits drive-through for Finley Gamble. He's 2 more laps. Gets on Glenn Smith 0.1 of a second off Dudley. He's trying to show the front of the car, but Dudley runs wide. Glenn done a great dummy there. That track cut for Dudley will not be nice. And Glenn goes up the inside. Duds has to give him a bit of room, but Duds trying to do the cutback. Glenn though does what any driver's going to do and park the car a little bit and slow it down and make sure he holds on to that on the exit and impede the exit of the other car behind. So all is fair and love and war. Glenn then throwing the car into the last corner and he's got the job done. That was great driving from Glenn. Very, very patient stuff there. Does the dummy, gets the job done. 4 minutes and 25 seconds left to go and it's still half a second between them. Just the other way around now. And these guys have been trading fastest laps as well. So let's see. As Fantanozzi decided, right, I'm going into the pits now. So Tedder will probably cut that off next lap. Well, he has to really anyway. Of course, then we're waiting then on Augusto Jr. And of course this guy Costa here as well at the pit. And then Dudley sticking with Glenn. That's super racing from both of these drivers. Job is a good one. Oh, that's much nicer through there. 0.2 of a second. Dudley might go for the move on the inside here. Nope. Not this time around. Dudley doesn't even try it and fake it. Dudley's waiting. Putting the pressure on. Glenn is soaking it up there as Tedder coming around now. I'm sure this will be the lap he does it. He'll be silly to try it on the last lap. Get it done now and be safe. So Fantanuzzi still actually he comes out, what is it, 2.6 seconds clear of Ryan O'Sullivan as well, so just done enough. O'Sullivan with the fastest lap of 1:31.305. I'm assuming Tedder's in this lap. Yeah, he's taking it nice and tight and in he goes. Nice stuff there. I'm assuming Augusto will do the same and Costa. Now Fantanozzi, where is he on the track? Coming around, looking at the pit stop time. He was stopped for exactly 5 seconds. So Mr. Tedder, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So he was a second longer. Stopped and Tedder will be coming out of the pits any second now. He's just out, and there's Fantanozzi, and there's, oh my god, Tedder just about holds on to the lead, and he's got 2 laps now. Fantanozzi right on the back of him. Wow, that extra second didn't help him, but he's just barely got out there. 0.3 of a second ahead of Fantanozzi, 0.2 of a second. Fantanozzi pushing him. This is super close. Chris is gonna fight for this one. It's a repeat of last week, this. Fantanozzi from Tedder at the minute. Just behind Tedder at the minute, but literally in his doorstep. O'Sullivan and P3 again. It's gonna be the same podium as it was last week in Zolder, if it stays like this for the next lap and 1 sector. This is top notch stuff. Costa still hasn't pitted as well. He'll have to come in this lap. There's no choice for him. As Tedder now 0.3 of a second, 0.4 of a second. This is it now. One more lap. Can he keep Fantinosi behind? Apologies, I had to sneeze there, and I would not want to do that into the mic. But Chris now half a second from Fantinosi. My thing is, if Costa going to pit, because if he forgets to pit, that's 180 seconds. He jumps in the pits as I mention it, with the P becoming beside his name. So Chris here now 0.6 of a second clear. Runs a bit wide though. Fantinosi has him on the inside here. Oh my god, Chris will be kicking himself here if he loses out on this. He's holding it around the outside. He's got the inside here. Fantinosi still holding on. He's trying to get a cut back there. Somehow Tedder has kept ahead. Fantinosi's going to try and go up the inside here. Tedder's trying to block it off. Fantinosi goes on the inside. There is contact with them, but it looks like Tedder's somehow got away. Ryan O'Sullivan's after getting by both of them. Tedder in P2 now, and Fantinosi up in P3. That was just a move. I don't know what happened. We'll have a look at that near the end. As it looks, Ryan O'Sullivan, oh, Tedder absolutely flying it. Ryan O'Sullivan is somehow gone from P3 to essentially P1, but Tedder is still with him. Oh my god, what an end to the race. We're in this last middle sector. Tedder and Fantinosi come together by just a bit. Tedder's now overdriving, I think, to get the move done. But Tedder comes in then in P2 and Fantinosi in P3. Augusto Jr. becomes P1 in his split, which means then that Glenn Smith gets P4, Costa P5 and Dudley P6. But then again, Glenn has to keep Costa at bay for another corner. Wow. I am absolutely shell-shocked. I'm sure Ryan O'Sullivan is as well. Although Ryan O'Sullivan is fast lap of the race as well. That's absolutely crazy. So, looks like that's going to be fine as it sits. So, we've got Ryan O'Sullivan from Chris Tedder, from Fantinosi, from Augusto Jr., Glenn Smith from Costa, from Dudley, from Giese, from Warren, from Pryor, Usmanov, Dunn, Rat, Dunn, Polycock, Campbell and Ferrante. Wow, that was mental. Guys, we will be back on Friday. We are going to be in Indy. It's going to be a warm one in Indy. And yeah, I look forward to seeing you all there. And of course, on Sunday, I look forward to seeing everybody at Bathurst as well. And thank you for watching the stream if you have. And we will be live again on Friday.
You know I don't play right. Just give me the word. You know I don't play right. Don't give me this. I'm gonna get back when I feel like. You know I don't play right. I'll put up a good